The dimly lit chamber deep within the monastery's walls was a scene of organized chaos, with ancient texts and scrolls scattered across wooden tables and candles flickering like fireflies in the darkness. Rostova sat at the center, her eyes fixed intently on the worn parchment in front of her, as she delicately transcribed the cryptic symbols etched into its surface. Ben stood beside her, his eyes closed, his face tense with concentration, as he struggled to decipher the visions that flashed through his mind like snapshots of a horrific future. "We have to hurry," Rostova said, her voice low and urgent as she carefully copied the intricate markings onto a separate sheet of paper. "The longer we take, the more unstable the artifacts become." "I know," Ben replied, his eyes still closed, his voice laced with a sense of desperation. "I can feel it, like a weight crushing down on me, getting heavier by the minute." Rostova's gaze drifted to the windows, where the sound of shattering glass and screams echoed through the night air, a grim reminder of the chaos that had been unleashed by the rogue agent's sabotage. The monastery, once a sanctuary of knowledge and peace, was now a hotbed of destruction, as ancient relics and mysterious devices malfunctioned, threatening to tear the very fabric of reality apart. Ben's eyes snapped open and he grasped Rostova's arm, his grip like a vice. "I saw it," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I saw the end of the world." Rostova's expression turned grim as she felt a shiver run down her spine. "What did you see?" she asked, her voice soft, yet insistent. Ben's eyes clouded over as the visions replayed in his mind like a horror movie. "I saw mountains crumbling, oceans boiling, and the sky filled with fire," he said, his words tumbling out in a rush. "I saw the world burning, and I saw us standing at the edge of the abyss, with no way to stop the fall." Rostova's face set in a determined mask as she turned back to the parchment, her eyes scanning the symbols with renewed urgency. "We need to find the map," she said, her voice firm. "We need to unlock the secrets of this text and find the final piece of the puzzle before it's too late." "But how?" Ben asked, his voice laced with doubt. "We've tried every technique, every method, and we're still no closer to deciphering the code." Rostova's gaze locked onto Ben's, a hint of desperation creeping into her eyes. "There's one method left," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "A technique that's never been tried before, a technique that could unlock the secrets of the text, but at a terrible cost." "What is it?" Ben asked, his voice hesitant as he sensed the weight of Rostova's words. Rostova's expression turned resolute as she steeled herself for the decision ahead. "We'll use the echo resonance technique," she said, her voice firm. "We'll use our own minds as a resonance chamber to amplify the energy of the text and unlock its secrets." Ben's eyes widened as he grasped the implications of Rostova's plan. "But that's untested," he said, his voice laced with concern. "We could lose ourselves in the process, or worse, unleash a power that we can't control." Rostova's face set in a determined mask as she nodded, her eyes locked onto Ben's. "I know the risks," she said, her voice firm, "but I also know that we have no other choice. We have to try, no matter the cost, because the alternative is too terrible to contemplate." The candles in the room seemed to flicker in sync with Rostova's words, as the shadows cast by the flames appeared to grow longer, like grasping fingers, as if the very darkness itself was listening, waiting to see if Rostova and Ben would take the perilous step and risk everything to unlock the secrets of the ancient text. Ben's eyes searched Rostova's face, looking for any sign of doubt or hesitation, but her expression remained resolute. He knew that she was aware of the risks, but she was willing to take the gamble, and he couldn't blame her. The visions he had seen, the end of the world, it was a reality that he couldn't face, not without a fight. "What do we need to do?" Ben asked, his voice firm, as he steeled himself for the challenge ahead. Rostova's gaze dropped to the parchment as she began to explain the process. "We need to create a resonance chamber," she said, her voice low and even. "A space where our minds can connect and amplify the energy of the text." Ben nodded as he watched Rostova gather a series of small, crystal orbs from a nearby shelf. "These will help us focus our thoughts," she said as she handed one to Ben. "We need to clear our minds and connect with each other on a deep level." Ben took the orb, feeling its smooth surface as he closed his eyes and began to breathe deeply. He could feel his mind starting to clear as he focused on the sensation of the orb in his hand. Rostova's voice whispered in his ear as she guided him through the process. "Imagine a space, a void where our minds can meet," she said. "A place where we can connect and amplify the energy of the text." Ben's eyes snapped open as he felt a jolt of electricity run through his body. He was standing in a vast, empty space with Rostova beside him. The air was filled with a pulsating energy as the crystal orbs began to glow with a soft blue light. Rostova's hand reached out and took Ben's as their minds connected on a deep, intuitive level. The energy in the space began to build as they focused their thoughts on the ancient text. The symbols on the parchment began to glow with a soft, pulsing light as the energy in the space reached a critical point. Ben felt himself being drawn into the text as the symbols began to shift and rearrange themselves. The room around them began to distort as the energy in the space reached a fever pitch. Ben felt his mind expanding as he connected with the text on a deep, primal level. The visions began to flash through his mind like snapshots of a distant memory. He saw the world in all its beauty and chaos. He saw the threads of reality that connected everything and everyone. Rostova's voice whispered in his ear as she guided him through the visions. "We're close," she said. "We're close to unlocking the secrets of the text." Ben's mind reeled as the visions reached a crescendo and he felt himself being pulled towards a great, abyssal void. He saw the end of the world in all its horror, and he saw the path that led to salvation. The energy in the space reached a critical point as Ben's mind connected with the text on a deep, intuitive level. The symbols on the parchment flashed with a blinding light as the secrets of the ancient text were finally revealed. Ben felt himself being pulled back into his body as the energy in the space dissipated. He opened his eyes to find Rostova standing beside him, her face etched with a mixture of exhaustion and triumph. "We did it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We unlocked the secrets of the text." Ben's eyes dropped to the parchment as he saw the symbols rearranged to reveal a hidden message. "The map," he said, his voice filled with wonder. "The final piece of the puzzle." Rostova's gaze locked onto his as she nodded, her eyes shining with a sense of hope. "We can do this," she said. "We can prevent the catastrophic event and save the world." But as they stood there, basking in the glow of their success, the sound of shattering glass and screams echoed through the night air, a grim reminder that time was running out, and the fate of the world hung in the balance. The air in the room seemed to thicken, as if the weight of Rostova's decision hung suspended, like a challenge to the universe itself. Ben's eyes searched Rostova's face, looking for any sign of doubt, any hint of uncertainty. But Rostova's expression remained resolute, her jaw set in a firm line, her eyes blazing with a fierce determination. "We'll do it together," Ben said, his voice firm. As he nodded, his mind made up. "We'll use the echo resonance technique and we'll unlock the secrets of the text, no matter the cost." Rostova's gaze locked onto Ben's, a spark of hope igniting in her eyes. "Together we can do it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Together we can unlock the secrets of the ancient text and find the final piece of the puzzle." The candles in the room seemed to flicker in agreement, as if the flames themselves were urging Rostova and Ben on, urging them to take the perilous step and risk everything to unlock the secrets of the ancient text. The shadows cast by the flames appeared to grow shorter, as if the darkness itself was receding, making way for the light of knowledge to illuminate the path ahead. Rostova's hands moved with a newfound sense of purpose as she carefully prepared the equipment needed for the echo resonance technique. Ben watched, his eyes fixed intently on Rostova's hands as she worked with a precision that bordered on reverence. The air in the room seemed to vibrate with anticipation, as if the very molecules themselves were being drawn into the vortex of Rostova's plan. "We need to be careful," Rostova said, her voice low and urgent, as she handed Ben a small, delicate device. "This is a resonance amplifier," she explained, her eyes locked onto Ben's. "It will amplify the energy of the text and allow us to tap into its secrets." Ben's eyes widened as he took the device, his fingers closing around it like a vice. "What do I do with it?" he asked, his voice laced with a sense of trepidation. Rostova's gaze locked onto Ben's, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. "You'll need to hold it," she said, her voice soft. "Hold it and focus your mind on the text. The resonance amplifier will do the rest." Ben's eyes searched Rostova's face, looking for any sign of reassurance. But Rostova's expression remained serious, her eyes burning with a fierce intensity. "We're taking a risk, Ben," she said, her voice firm. "A risk that could change everything." Ben's face set in a determined mask as he nodded, his mind made up. "I'm ready," he said, his voice firm. "Let's do it." The candles in the room seemed to flicker in agreement, as if the flames themselves were urging Rostova and Ben on, urging them to take the perilous step and risk everything to unlock the secrets of the ancient text. The shadows cast by the flames appeared to grow shorter, as if the darkness itself was receding, making way for the light of knowledge to illuminate the path ahead. Rostova's hands moved with a newfound sense of purpose as she carefully positioned the resonance amplifier and prepared the text for the echo resonance technique. The air in the room seemed to vibrate with anticipation, as if the very molecules themselves were being drawn into the vortex of Rostova's plan. "It's time," Rostova said, her voice low and urgent as she turned to Ben. "Hold the amplifier and focus your mind on the text. Let's unlock the secrets of the ancient text and find the final piece of the puzzle." Ben's eyes locked onto Rostova's, a spark of determination igniting in his eyes. "Let's do it," he said, his voice firm. "Let's unlock the secrets of the ancient text and change the course of history." Rostova took a deep breath, her eyes never leaving Ben's face as she began to explain the details of the echo resonance technique. "We'll need to synchronize our brain waves," she said, her voice steady. "We'll need to create a resonance chamber using our own minds as the focal point." Ben nodded, his face set in a determined mask as he grasped the complexity of the plan. "I'm ready," he said, his voice firm. "Let's do it." Rostova nodded, a small smile playing on her lips as she reached out and placed a hand on Ben's forehead. "Close your eyes," she said, her voice soft. "Focus on your breathing and let your mind relax." Ben's eyes drifted shut as Rostova began to guide him through a series of meditation techniques designed to calm his mind and focus his thoughts. The room around them grew quieter as the sounds of chaos and destruction outside seemed to fade into the background, replaced by the soft hum of the candles and the gentle rustle of the parchment. As they sat there, Rostova began to recite the words of the ancient text, her voice low and hypnotic, as she wove a spell of concentration and focus around them. The air in the room seemed to thicken as the energy of the text began to build, like a storm gathering on the horizon. Ben's eyes flickered open as he felt the energy coursing through his mind like a river of fire. He saw visions of the past and present, of ancient civilizations and mysterious technologies, all swirling together in a maelstrom of color and sound. Rostova's voice grew louder, more insistent as she guided Ben deeper into the heart of the text. The symbols on the parchment began to glow like embers as the energy of the echo resonance technique reached a critical point. Suddenly, the room was filled with a blinding light as the energy of the text burst forth like a dam breaking. Ben felt himself lifted out of his body as his mind expanded, and he saw the secrets of the universe unfold before him like a tapestry of infinite complexity. In that moment, Ben understood the true nature of the text and the secrets it held. He saw the map, the final piece of the puzzle, and he knew that they had succeeded, that they had unlocked the secrets of the ancient text. As the light faded, Ben found himself back in his body, gasping for breath as Rostova's face came into focus before him. "They had done it," she said, her eyes shining with tears as she smiled and took Ben's hand in hers. But as they sat there, basking in the glow of their triumph, the shadows in the room seemed to grow longer like grasping fingers, as if the very darkness itself was waiting patiently for its moment to strike. The sound of shattering glass and screams echoed through the night air as the monastery's artifacts, now freed from their ancient constraints, began to malfunction, threatening to destroy the world. Rostova's face set in a determined mask as she stood up and pulled Ben to his feet. "We have to stop it," she said, her voice firm. "We have to use the knowledge we've gained to prevent the disaster." Ben nodded, his eyes locked onto Rostova's as they rushed out of the chamber into the heart of the chaos. They fought their way through the wreckage, using their knowledge of the ancient text to disable the malfunctioning artifacts and restore balance to the world. As the night wore on, the chaos slowly subsided as the artifacts fell silent, and the world was saved. Rostova and Ben stood amidst the wreckage, their faces etched with exhaustion and relief. But as they looked up at the sky, they saw a strange glow on the horizon, a glow that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Rostova's eyes locked onto Ben's as she smiled, a hint of mischief in her eyes. "It seems," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "that our work is far from over. The ancient text, it seems, was just the beginning." Ben's eyes widened as he grasped the implications of Rostova's words. The world, it seemed, was full of secrets and mysteries waiting to be uncovered. And Rostova and Ben were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, side by side as they embarked on a new journey into the unknown. The glow on the horizon grew brighter as the darkness seemed to recede, and the stars twinkled like diamonds in the night sky. The world, it seemed, was full of wonder and magic, and Rostova and Ben were ready to explore it all.